what do you see is the most common mistake that short stay accommodation owners are doing when it comes to getting started with Instagram? So just to caveat that, so Natacha now has built up 2 properties, plans for a glamping site, and what she's also doing, which is what I love, is she's giving loads of help and advice and tips to other people from around the world on how they can get started as well. So you obviously you've coached a lot of people, you're working alongside a lot of people. So what is the most common mistake that you see them make when they get into Instagram?
But the first like big mistakes, I think, in the hashtags. People are putting in the hashtags basically Airbnb host, Airbnb superhost, vacation rentals, whatever. What it's bringing them? It's bringing them followers, which are basically their competitors, or not, like we will say, like collaborators, partners in other places. Which is good. It's always nice to like know other hosts, but they are not your target market. Your target market is like who is coming to your place in general. So you have to think when you're thinking about hashtags, instead of like putting what you are, because this is not what we want to focus on. Like who you are, it's good, but you want to focus on who they are. So if you know that most of the people coming to your place, for instance, I have one of my students, she has a lot of people coming because they love like bike trials, then I advise her to use those kind of hashtags. Find the one which is working for her target audience, not herself, them. It's like find the right hashtags for them.
Welcome to the Boostly podcast. We are in season 7, episode 9, and in this episode we're talking all about Instagram. Now in this episode I've invited Natacha Parentier, based in Valencia, has 2 properties that she rents out and has got plans to create a glamping site. Natacha has traveled the world. She is now also helping other short stay accommodation owners in her own Facebook group, which is lovely, titled Airbnb More Direct Bookings, Marketing Tips for Vacation Rentals. We go on to talk about hashtags, we go on to talk about stories. She shares a lovely little tip that will help get more traffic to your website from Instagram, and then we start to talk about some direct booking tips. So without further ado, let me pass you on to Natacha. This is the Boosted Podcast. Please make sure before you leave you rate, review and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from.
So yeah, to reply to your first question, where I am based, I'm in Spain. In case you don't notice it from the accent, I'm French, but I left France 10 years ago. I have lived in different countries. I think it's the 6th country right now, Spain. And I have been hosting, I started hosting when I was in Germany. And it was just when I was traveling, I would rent out my room, I would go travel and pay for my trips. So it was not too bad. And then when I came to this flat, in Valencia, Spain, I decided to rent a few rooms in my flat. So I'm doing home share in this flat. Kind of dangerous in Spain because you don't know the risk. People like can pay 1 month, they give you the deposit, and then basically like they occupy your flat and then just don't pay you. So we decided to do the same as we were doing here in the flat there, and yeah, it's going good. There are festivals. It's not like super like rented all the time because it's like small village, but there is mountains. There are a lot of things to do around. So yeah, that's the 2 accommodations that I have, and my plan for the future.
So yeah, we're going to talk about Instagram as we've said in the topic and the title. Now, out of all the social media channels, where does Instagram rate on your favorite? And me personally speaking, I love Instagram. It's the only app that's on my phone. You know, I do use Facebook a lot, but I tend to use Facebook more on my computer, and I leave Instagram on the phone just because I really enjoy using it and interacting with it and just learning all the new tactics and tips on there. So where does it rate for yourself, Natasha?
Also good to know all the strategies and to know, okay, which one is working best for me, which one is giving me like the highest percentage of conversion, because it's like no point to spend time on something which is not giving you the highest return on time time spent. So what is the best for me? The two platforms for me for my business is Facebook and LinkedIn for like teaching people how to like have better online visibility. For the vacation rental is those things. So that's why I'm spending more time on this. But I love Instagram for my personal life. I'm checking all the time, especially like for places to stay. And as I said, I love learning marketing strategies. So that's why I know a lot about Instagram, but that's not my top one for myself.
What do you see is the most common mistake that short stay accommodation owners are doing when it comes to getting started with Instagram? So just to caveat that, so Natasha now has built up 2 properties, plans for a glamping site, and what she's also doing, which is what I love, is she's giving loads of help and advice and tips to other people from around the world on how they can get started as well. So you obviously you've coached a lot of people, you're working alongside a lot of people. So what is the most common mistake that you see them make when they get into Instagram?
But the first like big mistakes, I think, in the hashtags. People are putting in the hashtags basically Airbnb host, Airbnb superhost, vacation rentals, whatever. What it's bringing them? It's bringing them followers which are basically their competitors, or not, like we will say, like collaborators, partners in other places. Which is good. It's always nice to like know other hosts, but they are not your target market. Your target market is like who is coming to your place in general. So you have to think, when you're thinking about hashtags, instead of like putting what you are, because this is not what we want to focus on. Like who you are, it's good, but you want to focus on who they are. So if you know that most of the people coming to your place, for instance, I have one of my students, she has a lot of people coming because they love like bike trials, then I advise her to use those kind of hashtags. Find the one which is working for her target audience, not herself, them. It's like find the right hashtags for them.
Have you got any tactics and tips? Because what I find is really funny is that loads of people say, get on the hashtags, but then there's no follow-up advice. So have you got any really cool short little tips that you could advise on what's the best way of going around and finding a hashtag that they could look to take advantage of in terms of when they're posting and things to use?
There are different things. When you're on Instagram, you go to the search tab on the top, and you write what you're thinking of, and then you will see like Instagram will tell you, oh, this hashtag there is like over 10 million posts. This hashtag is like 100 posts. So as you were saying, you don't want a hashtag which is too small and that you will be the only one there. It's not the point. But you also don't want one which is like overcrowded, because you will be one in a sea of people and they will never see you. So this is the first thing, like find a hashtag which is like not too widely used and not too. The second thing, what I advise, look for your competitors. Look for the competitors or look for the hotels. Why look for the hotels? Don't use the hashtags which are just for hotels, but look for the hotels. Usually they have a big team. They have more money than you for their marketing. So they have a team behind them who are doing the research on what hashtags they should use. So look at what they are using as hashtags, and again, click on each hashtag and see, okay, is it a too big hashtag or not? Check. You have to like do a little research on your competitors, and then also if you know like some of your past guests, check their accounts, check what they are using as hashtags.
When it